Okay, I'm waiting for my brother to come meet me for lunch, and I was scrolling on TikTok, and someone had posted, what's the scariest moment in your life? And I think I might have the scariest one. So I have always been terrified of someone breaking into my house. My parents' house got broken into when I was like in the 2nd grade, and I've been scared since. And I don't even live with my parents anymore. And I feel like I'm always prepared for someone to break in, if you know what I mean. But anyways, so I was at my parents' house. I still lived there, and my parents were at the beach, and my sister was out of town, and my brother was at work, so there was nobody in the house. And I remember sleeping, or maybe just laying in my bed. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. And I heard someone in my kitchen, like opening cabinets and shutting cabinets. And I thought, great, the time is now, like, I'm ready to kill somebody. And I was terrified because usually when my parents left me and they went on vacation, they would leave me a shot. I don't know if I can say it because I'm gonna get taken down. But anyways, they always left me one, and I knew how to shoot one, and I was ready. But they did not leave it out. So I was thinking, what am I supposed to do? And I just thought there was a big man in my kitchen, and he was gonna come upstairs and kill me, stab me, slice my throat, torture me. Like, I was so scared. So I called 911, and they're like, so-and-so, or first I checked Live 360 to make sure nobody was at home, and everybody was not at home. Like, there was no one close to me at all. So I thought, okay, someone really is in the house. And they kept opening cabinets in my kitchen. So I call 911, and I say, I'm whispering that someone is in my house, and they said, okay, stay inside. And my bedroom is on the 3rd floor of my parents' house, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? And they just said, stay inside, like, stay on the phone with me, what's your address? And our address is Pine Mountain Road. So I was like, 1234 Pine Mountain Road. And she said, what? Pine Cone Road? And I was like, please. Pine Mountain Road. So she was like, okay. So I run into my sister's room, which is like adjacent to my room, and I start moving, because she has a walk-in closet, which I did too. I don't know why I didn't hide in mine. And I like moved her clothes back so I could hide behind the clothes. And I was literally sitting there on the phone with no weapon, because I didn't have one at the time. And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm sitting in my sister's closet. And I was thinking in my head, if I stay up here in my sister's closet, a man is going to come up here and find me and kill me. I have to get out of the house. And last time our house got broken into, it took the cop 3 hours to come to our house, because we live like out in the country. And I'm not over exaggerating, 3 hours. So I was like, I'm going to run outside through the front door. So when you leave me my sister's room, you can go down some stairs and run out of the front door. But our stairs are like kind of zigzag. Anyways, so I take off, even though the 911 lady told me not to go outside. So I take off outside, and I take off on we have a we used to have a long gravel driveway, now it's concrete. But I didn't have shoes on, so I was like running across the gravel. Like, that really made me a redneck girl right there. Anyways, so I ran across the gravel, and I get down like half of my driveway, and I was like, okay, I'm safe now. Like, if someone comes out, then I can just run down the road or whatever. And the 911 lady, she's like, okay, like, the cops are on their way, and she hangs up. Like, I thought you weren't supposed to hang up. I thought you were supposed to stay on the phone with someone until the cops got there or whatever. So I said, are you hanging up on me? And she was like, yes. And I was like, okay. So I hang up, and my brother's girlfriend texts me, and she said, by the way, Cameron dropped me off. I'm inside the house. We had to call 911 back and say, don't come. That is so embarrassing. I went back inside and just cried. And cried, because I was so scared. But it was my brother's girlfriend, and I thought it was a huge man coming to attack me.
Scary story time of the time that I tried to convince a ghost to cross over, but it backfired. So my mom tells me that my grandparents have been telling her about this woman that they keep seeing across the street who looks homeless. And they've been concerned for the kids over there going to school, because there's this homeless person just shacking up over there. Every time they try to point this lady out to my mom sees nobody. There's nobody there. They actually get mad at her because she don't see her, and they think she's lying and trying to trick them. I tell my mom next time they tell her about this lady to let me know, and I'll go check it out. Disclaimer, both my grandparents have bad eyesight. However, they are both seeing this lady, and they have both seen her sit there, lay down in the street, basically right in front of the school, and interact with the kids. They have said that they saw her interacting with the kids. So finally the day comes where I am there, and they're telling my mom about this woman that they see. And my mom goes and gets me, and she tells me, and I just flat out tell my grandparents, like, I think you guys are seeing a ghost. Now, my grandfather, he does not believe in that sort of thing. He actually got mad and he was out. So he tucked it into his room. He was like, I'm not talking about this any further, which is fair. However, my grandma came out and she tried to point out where this lady was to me. She described the lady as a petite black woman with a bun in her hair, a tan shirt, and black shorts on. So my mom and I go over there, and I'm just talking to thin air, basically. I don't see anything, and I'm just like, hey, if there's anyone here, I hate to let you know, but you passed. You might want to call on your deceased loved ones, or maybe God, or whoever you believe in, to come and help you cross on over, because you're no longer in the physical. Nothing happens at this point, and we just return to the house, and when I walk in, Grandma has this look on her face like, I told you so, and she has her arms crossed, and she's like, well, report. So I had to be like, Grandma, there's nobody there. There was nobody there. I was talking, but there was nobody there. And then I asked her, was I in the right area where she was? And she said that no, it's actually further. She was actually further on up the ramp, closer to the doors, which would be like the handicap accessible doors. So I make my way back over there. I talk to the air again, and I say the same spiel. I hate to tell you, but you've passed away. Call on your deceased loved ones, angels, God, whoever you believe in, to help you go ahead and cross over. Now, I make my way back to the house. As I'm walking to the house, I notice that my knees get a little wobbly, but I thought, well, I just had a foot injury. I'm walking downhill. Maybe that's it. I get inside, and again, I tell my grandma, like, hey, there's nobody there. That woman, I don't see her. And I asked her, while I was talking over there, did you see anything? Did you see her interact with me at all? And she said she didn't move, but it looked like while I was there that she appeared to get smaller. She didn't say how small exactly, but that she kind of shrank. At this point, my grandma's really struggling to understand what's going on. She can't fathom that someone really isn't there. So she decides to go ahead and take off to her room where Grandpa is, and I just let her go. But now I am feeling incredibly drained at this point. Like, I'm fatigued. I can tell I'm a little sensitive to energy. I can tell something is draining me. I tell my mom, I'm like, hey, something's not right. I think something's draining my energy. Something's not right. I actually demand at this point that anything attached to my energy needs to leave. It needs to go. And I demand it. And then my mom, convinces me to drink a little bit of water, eat something. So I did. I drank some water. I actually did end up feeling a lot better after that. Me and my mom talk about it some more, and I end up telling her, like, that was stupid. I shouldn't have been doing that. I didn't ask for any protection. I just went over there and did that, and something either latched onto me or something was taking my energy, something. I can't really gauge whether my mom believes me or not because she's not really reacting to the things that I'm saying, but she was concerned about how I was feeling. Anyways, I'm feeling better. We move on, and eventually it gets to the point of the night where I gotta put my kids down. So I'm putting my kids down, and I get a text message from my mom. She goes, you're not gonna believe this, but something whispered Annie really loud and slow to me while I was in my bedroom, and there was nobody there. She said, I actually responded, what? Because I thought somebody walked into my room, but there was no one there. And I was like, oh, you better kick it out immediately. And my mom, she's religious, so she rebuked it. She did her thing, but she was disturbed because this was a male's voice and the way he said her nickname. I guess it was like long and drawn out, like Annie, like, scary. Of course, I had to be like, I knew something latched onto my energy. I knew something was wrong. I'm never doing that again. Long story short, my grandparents, they have never complained about seeing that lady since then. They have not seen her. This was back in May.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Okay, yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
Λοιπόν, σήμερα είναι η κατάλληλη ώρα και η κατάλληλη στιγμή να πούμε αυτή την ιστορία. Γιατί από την ώρα που έχω ξυπνήσει, είναι 11.30 ώρα το πρωί. Από την ώρα που έχω ξυπνήσει, βλέπω συνέχεια στο TikTok μου βιντεάκια που λένε «Πες μου μια τρομακτική ιστορία που δεν θα πιστέψει κανείς, αλλά». Ωραία. Και έχω δει κυριολεκτικά πάνω από 20 τρομακτικές ιστορίες. Έχει χάρη που με εμφανίζονται τώρα που είναι πρωί και όχι βράδυ, γιατί είμαι ήδη delusional. Πόσο μάλλον φανταστείτε να τα έβλεπα αυτά και να ήταν βράδυ. Τέλος πάντων, hopefully να μην περάσει πρωί-πρωί κάποιος κάγκουρας ακούγοντας δυνατά τρανό. Σας το λέω γιατί έχω κόψει το βίντεο μου 2 φορές, γιατί έχει γίνει 2 φορές. Ο Μπρο κυριολεκτικά κάνει κύκλου στο στενό για να ακούσουμε όλοι ότι ακούει τρανό. Όχι, φίλε μου, δεν είσαι μάγκας. Σταμάτα! Είναι 11.30 ώρα το πρωί. Τέλος πάντων, επίσης άκουσα έναν ήχο και χαίστηκα πάνω μου. Πολύ καλά θα πάει σήμερα η μέρα, είμαι πάρα πολύ χαρούμενη. Τέλος πάντων, και βλέπω αυτά τα βιντεάκια Βλέπω αυτά τα βιντεάκια λοιπόν στο αγγλικό TikTok. Πόσο μάλλον το γεγονός ότι είμαι μέλος του ελληνικού TikTok και δεν βλέπω ελληνικά βιντεάκια, make it make sense. Anyways, λοιπόν, θα σας πω μια ιστορία. Και επειδή έχω δει, δεν ξέρω ποια από όλες να πω. Genuinely δεν ξέρω ποια από όλες να πω, που είναι πάρα πολύ ανησυχητικό αυτό. Ποια να πω, δώστε μου ένα δεύτερο, I need to think. Λοιπόν, θα μιλήσω για sleep paralysis. Γιατί η δικιά μου ιστορία είναι πολύ πιο unique από άλλες ιστορίες που έχω ακούσει. I'm special. I'm haunted, bitch. Anyways, όχι στο καινούριο μου σπίτι. Στο παλιό σπίτι ζούσα πολλά. Στο καινούριο μου σπίτι είμαι καλά. Να σου πω την αλήθεια, ψιλομετανιώνω λίγο το γεγονός ότι άρχισα τόσο αργά να τραβάω βιντεάκια και δεν τράβαγα όταν ήμουν στο παλιό μου σπίτι. Φανταστείτε λίγο να τράβαγα βίντεο και να γινόταν κάτι live. Τέλος πάντων, έχουμε να λέμε ιστορίες τώρα, δεν πειράζει. Λοιπόν, έχω ακούσει τις κλασικές ιστορίες του τύπου ναι, οκ, καθόμουν το βράδυ, κοιμόμουν, έπαθα sleep paralysis, δεν μπορούσα να κουνηθώ, δεν μπορούσα να κουνήσω το κεφάλι μου, είδα μια γυναίκα, έκανα εκείνο και το άλλο, είδα μια γυναίκα να με κοιτάει. Τα οποία τα λέω lightly. Τα λέω fucking lightly, ενώ δεν είναι, γιατί φαντάσου legit να κοιμάσαι και απλά να ανοίγεις τα μάτια σου και να βλέπεις μια γυναίκα να σε κοιτάει. Okay? Αλλά αυτό που μου έγινε εμένα είναι ακόμα χειρότερος από την έννοια. Ακόμα χειρότερος. Ποιος είναι χειρότερος? Τέλος πάντων, είναι ακόμα χειρότερο γιατί καθόμουν στο κρεβατάκι μου και πήγα για ύπνο. Αυτό που μου έγινε λοιπόν είναι, όπως κάθομαι και πέφτω για ύπνο, σηκώνομαι το βράδυ και σηκώνομαι κανονικά. Μαλάκι, σηκώνομαι με την έννοια. Έχω ξαπλώσει, είμαι ξαπλωμένη, ωραία. Και όπως είσαι ξαπλωμένος, για να σηκωθείς, σηκώνεις πρώτα το σώμα σου. Ωραία, σηκώνεις πρώτα το σώμα σου. Οπότε αντικειμενικά είσαι καθιστός πάνω στο κρεβάτι. Ωραία. Εγώ, επειδή δεν ξέρω τι μαγικές δυνάμεις έχω, έπαθα sleep paralysis καθιστή. Πώς γίνεται αυτό? Δεν ξέρω. Πώς γίνεται να έχεις πάθει sleep paralysis και να είσαι καθιστός και όχι ξαπλωμένος? Δεν ξέρω. Και όπως είμαι λοιπόν, συνειδητοποιώ ότι σηκώνω το σώμα μου, συνειδητοποιώ ότι brother δεν μπορείς να κουνηθείς. Το μόνο που μπορούσα να κάνω είναι να κουνήσω τα μάτια μου. Και αυτό που γινότανε λοιπόν είναι ότι άκουγα ήχους από τη κουζίνα σαν να περπατάει, σαν να σέρνεται κάποιος από τη κουζίνα και να έρχεται στο δωμάτιό μου. Οπότε εγώ αυτή τη στιγμή απλά είχα μείνει έτσι στο κρεβάτι και απλά άκουγα κάτι να έρχεται, να πλησιάζει και εγώ να μην μπορώ να κουνηθώ να κάνω τίποτα και να έχω χεστεί πάνω μου οριακά να θέλω να κλάψω. Θέλω να κλάψω μόνο μου το λέω. Give me a moment. I'm getting dramatic here. Τέλος πάντων, εγώ με όλη τη δύναμη και το κουράγιο που είχα εκείνη τη στιγμή απλά προσπαθούσα να κλείσω τα γαμίδια τα μάτια μου για να πέσω για ύπνο. Και τελικά, όπως καθόμουνα, δεν ξέρω, σταμάτησε να συμβαίνει το sleep paralysis. Δεν είδα κάποιον να έρχεται, αλλά ήταν ο τρόμος του να ακούς κάποιον να έρχεται. Και απλά ανοίγω τα μάτια μου και ξυπνάω κανονικά στο κρεβάτι, ωραία. Σαν να μην είχα σηκωθεί ποτέ. Οπότε κατά κάποιον τρόπο το είδα στον ύπνο μου, έπαθα sleep paralysis στον ύπνο μου. Δεν ξέρω. Και όπως καθόμουν λοιπόν και κοιμόμουν, ανοίγω τα μάτια μου obviously γιατί τρόμαξα από το sleep paralysis και ξανασήκωσα το σώμα μου και κάτσα πάλι καθιστή στο κρεβάτι. Και ξαναέπαθα sleep paralysis. Σας έχει τύχει ποτέ να πάθετε sleep paralysis πάνω το sleep paralysis πάνω το sleep paralysis? Τέλος πάντων, και όπως σηκώνομαι και φοβάμαι και ανοίγω τα μάτια μου, σηκώνω πάλι το σώμα μου και παθαίνω sleep paralysis πάλι. Και τώρα, όπως σηκώνομαι, βλέπω το δωμάτιό μου με τα μάτια μου έτσι και απλά γινόταν της πουτάνας. Κυριολεκτικά όλα μου τα πράγματα ήταν πεσμένα, η τύχη ήταν μαύρη, δεν ξέρω, ήταν σαν να ήμουνα σε κάποιο κατεστραμμένο σπίτι, οριακά καμένο.
Ήμουν κάπως, what's happening? Και πάλι θυμάμαι να προσπαθώ να κάνω τον εαυτό μου να κοιμηθεί για να ξυπνήσω. Και είχα χεστεί πάλι πάνω μου. Και ξανακοιμάμαι, καταλάβατε τι εννοώ, ξανανοίγω τα μάτια μου και είμαι κάτω καθιστή στο κρεβάτι και τώρα παθαίνω sleep paralysis ενώ είμαι έτσι. Δεν σήκωσα αυτή τη φορά το σώμα μου, έπαθα τρίτη φορά sleep paralysis, το sleep paralysis. What's happening with me? Και απλά όπως ήμουνα στο κρεβάτι και ανοίγω τα μάτια μου, παθαίνω sleep paralysis ακριβώς έτσι και απλά τώρα άκουγα σαν να μαλώνουν οι γονείς μου στην κουζίνα. Is that childhood fucking drama? Νιώθω ότι άμα το πω στο ψυχολόγο τώρα θα είναι κάπως, ξέρεις τι, νιώθω ότι οι γονείς σου μάλλοναν πολύ όταν ήσουν μικρή. Κάτι τέτοια θα μου λέει, αλλά όχι, απλά είμαι delusional. Τέλος πάντων, και όπως κοιμόμουν, απλά ήταν σαν να άκουγα τους γονείς μου να μαλώνουν στην κουζίνα και ξαφνικά όπως φωνάζαν ο ένας τον άλλον, σταμάτησαν να φωνάζουν, υπήρχε μια πλήρη σιγή και μετά απλά άρχισα να ακούω ένα μωρό να κλαίει. Άρχισα να ακούω ένα μωρό να κλαίει και όσο πήγαινε ήταν τόσο δυνατό. Και εγώ εκείνη τη στιγμή, επειδή μπορούσα να διαχειριστώ τα μάτια μου, δηλαδή μπορούσα να κάνω αυτό και να τα κλείσω, δεν ξέρω, αυτή τη φορά μπορούσα να τα κλείσω και όπως τα είχα κλειστά τα μάτια μου, απλά γινόταν όλο και πιο δυνατό. Ήταν σαν να πλησιάζει το μωρό μπροστά πάνω μου. Τέλος πάντων, και αυτό ήταν το sleep paralysis μου. Αυτό μου συνέβη κυριολεκτικά. Φανταστείτε λίγο το τρόμο όταν ξύπνησα. Μου έχουν ξαναγίνει ξανά άλλα sleep paralysis. Τύπου έχει τύχει. Βασικά, έχω συνειδητοποιήσει ότι τις περισσότερες φορές που παθαίνω sleep paralysis είμαι σαλωνών τα κρεβάτια. Τύπου ήταν η πρώτη φορά που μου συνέβαινε κάτι τέτοιο στο κρεβάτι μου. Was that sleep paralysis? Can someone fucking comment down below αν του έχει συμβεί κάτι παρόμοιο ή απλά I'm losing my fucking shit? Γιατί νιώθω ότι κυριολεκτικά από εκείνη την ημέρα και μετά έχω τρελαθεί. Νιώθω ότι κυριολεκτικά πρέπει να με κλείσουν σε κάποια κλινική. I'm not even fucking lying. Τέλος πάντων, αυτά είχα να πω. Δεν μπορώ να συνεχίσω γιατί τελειώνει ο χρόνος στο βίντεο. Anyways, next time θα έχουμε και άλλες ιστορίες. Οπότε...
Tonight's true scary story is terrifying, you guys. When I tell you that I read this story and I was like, I'm not going to sleep tonight, like, I genuinely mean that. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my YT. The link is in my bio where I tell scarier stories, longer versions of stories I tell on here, and the same stories. Also, if you want to send me your true scary story, my email is in my bio. It's kaisespooky@gmail.com. Okay, let's get started. Today's submitter's name, we're just going to call her Sarah, okay? And Sarah said that throughout her life she has had paranormal experiences, but they weren't ever really malicious. When she finally had this experience, this scarred her for life. Sarah is from Middle Georgia, but when she was 7 years old, she moved to Southern Georgia, and it was for her father's job, but she would still regularly go visit her family that lived in Middle Georgia. When she was 15 years old, her cousin turned 16 years old, and she got her license, and they both thought that it was really cool that her cousin got her license. They were able to go places now. So they would go places like go hang out with their friends. They would go to bonfires and tell stories. It was around Halloween, and one of her older friends, 17 years old, was telling her about a church off Seven Toe Road. This was in Cordell, Georgia, and apparently this is a very well-known haunted place. They actually made a scary movie about it. The scary movie is just not that well known. The story goes that there was an older woman that used to clean the church, and she only had 7 toes, and children used to go into the church and they would steal things and then they would run from her. Apparently one day when she was cleaning the church, she actually passed away. And now kids say that whenever they go to the church and they go to take things from the church, she will run and chase them away. Now, this may sound like just some stupid story, but it is not a stupid story. Because what happens to Sarah and her cousin is absolutely haunting. The legend goes if you go to the church and you drive around the church 7 times counterclockwise, you will see her. So her cousin has this bright idea and she's like, let's go to the church and let's do this and see what happens. And Sarah is like, let's go tomorrow. I don't really want to go today. So they decide that they're going to go tomorrow and they're just going to hang out in the church. Well, that night, Sarah started having nightmares, like really terrible nightmares, but she chalked it up to just having anxiety. Next day, they go to the church, they drive around 7 times counterclockwise, and then they just sit in the parking lot and wait. Nothing happens while they're sitting there, so her cousin is like, let's go inside. And Sarah just gets this sick feeling, and she's like, I don't think so. I think I'm gonna sit this one out. You can go in by yourself. And her cousin is like, come on, let's go, let's go. So she finally convinces Sarah to go inside of the church. Bad idea. As they're passing the church outside, they look in the window, and it looks like there's an elderly woman in the window. She said that they both saw her clear as day, but her cousin was like, should we go in? And Sarah was like, absolutely not. We're not going in there. As soon as they say that, the front door opens. Squeak. And her cousin is like, let's go in. And Sarah's like, no, I do not want to go in. Like, are you losing your mind right now? So as her cousin goes in, Sarah just stands in the doorway and she just sees her cousin walking around just like nothing had happened. And she's so confused because she's like, we know what we saw before. Like, why is she just walking around like this? I don't want to be here. She's absolutely terrified right now and she wants to leave. So her cousin walks out of view when all of a sudden it just goes dead silent. She doesn't hear walking anymore. She doesn't hear her cousin. She doesn't hear anything. So she gets worried and she doesn't want to go inside, but she has to go inside now because she has to look for her cousin. So she slowly walks in the door and she's looking around for her cousin. She said that the air felt suffocating. She was coughing. It was hard to breathe. Then she finds her in the sanctuary with tears rolling down her face. And she goes, it's real. It's real. I saw her. I saw her. And the door just slams shut and they hear running from all directions. Just boom, 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 boom. So Sarah screams, we have to go. We need to go. Sarah grabs her cousin's arm and she just runs towards the door. As soon as they get the door is locked. They cannot get out. So they turn around and the elderly woman was literally running towards them, just screaming. Her nose was long, her mouth was black and gaping open. Her hair was up in a bun and she was wearing a dingy, dirty apron. She actually walked with a limp, but when she ran, she still limped, but she was super fast. As soon as the woman is about to get like right towards them, the doors just swing open and they both run outside. They get in their car and they don't say another word to each other on the drive and they don't even talk to each other for the rest of the visit. Sarah says that she highly, highly recommends that no one ever visits that place ever. She said that she knows that this encounter does not sound real, but she promises 100% that every single detail of that story is 100% real. So what do you guys think happened here? Do you think that was the elderly woman that had passed away in the church prior? Do you think that that was some type of demon? Do you think it was a poltergeist? What do you think that it was? Because whatever it was tormenting them and terrorizing them. And if it was the elderly woman that used to live in that church, why is she so angry? Because obviously she's very angry because she's chasing kids out of the church. Sarah did want to remain anonymous, but she will be in the comments. She will be seeing all of the comments. So if you guys have any questions or comments for her, I can always ask her for you and then answer them. Also, if you have anything to say to her, drop it in the comments because she'll be seeing them. Other than that, my name is Kaisa and I tell true scary stories on here every single night. I actually gave you guys a bonus story tonight because I told two. I told one earlier and then I just told this one. So, surprise, bitch. Guys, TikTok is messing with my views right now so badly. It's crazy. Like, I don't know what's happening. People are telling me that they're not seeing me on their For You page anymore. I did get one V word and I think it just like plummeted my account. So I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know if this will even show up on your For You page. If it does, if you could just let me know, I would appreciate it because I need to find out what's going on here. If you like true scary stories, hit that follow button because like I said, I tell them every single night. I love you guys so, so, so much. Thank you so much for sending me your stories. And like I said, if you want to send me your story, send it to my email. It's kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful night, but also I hope you have a spooky night. Love you guys. See you in the next one.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
Welcome back, or if you're new here, I am sharing one true life creepy story every single day in the lead up to Halloween. And the story I've got for you today sat with me for quite some time. Now, I don't tend to get creeped out often by scary stories, but yeah, this one got me. It was a story I stumbled across on Reddit, the author being blue_tidal, and the story is called The Smiling Man. It was a Wednesday, somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning, and I was walking near a police-patrolled park quite a way away from my apartment. It was a quiet night, even for a weeknight, with very little traffic, almost no one on foot. The park, as it was most nights, was completely empty. I turned down a short side street in order to loop back to my apartment when I first noticed him. At the far end of the street on my side was the silhouette of a man dancing. It was a strange dance, similar to a waltz, but he finished each box with an odd forward stride. I guess you could say he was dance walking, heading straight for me. Deciding he was probably drunk, I stepped as close as I could to the road to give him the majority of the sidewalk to pass me by. But the closer he got, the more I realised how gracefully he was moving. He was very tall and lanky and wearing an old suit. He danced closer still until I could make out his face. His eyes were open wide and wild. his head tilted back slightly, looking off at the sky. His mouth was formed in a painfully wide cartoon of a smile. Between the eyes and the smile, I decided to cross the street before he danced any closer. I took my eyes off him to cross the empty street. As I reached the other side, I glanced back and then stopped dead in my tracks. He'd stopped dancing and was standing with one foot in the street, perfectly parallel to me. He was facing me, but still looking skyward, smile still wide on his lips. I was completely and utterly unnerved by this. I started walking again, but kept my eyes on the man. He didn't move. Once I'd put about half a block between us, I turned away from him for a moment to watch the sidewalk in front of me. The street and the sidewalk ahead of me were completely empty. Still unnerved, I looked back to where he had been standing to find him gone. For the briefest of moments, I felt relieved, until I noticed him. He had crossed the street and was now slightly crouched down. I couldn't tell for sure due to the distance and the shadows, but I was certain he was facing me. I'd looked away from him for no more than 10 seconds, so it was clear that he had moved fast. I was so shocked that I stood there for some time staring at him, and then he started moving towards me again. He took giant, exaggerated tiptoe steps as if he were some sort of cartoon character sneaking up on someone, except he was moving very, very quickly. I'd like to say at this point I ran away or pulled my pepper spray or my cell phone or anything at all, but I didn't. I just stood there, completely frozen as a smiling man crept towards me. When I finally found my voice, I blurted the first thing that came to mind. What I meant to ask was, "What the fuck do you want?" in an angry, commanding tone. What came out was a whimper. The fuck? Regardless of whether or not humans can smell fear, they can certainly hear it. I heard it in my own voice, and that only made me more afraid. But he didn't react to it at all. He just stood there, smiling. And then, after what felt like forever, he turned around, very slowly, and started dance walking away. Just like that. No wanting to turn back to him again, I just watched him go until he was far enough away to almost be out of sight. And then I realised something. He wasn't moving away anymore, nor was he dancing. I watched in horror as the giant shape of him grew larger and larger. He was coming back my way, and this time he was running. I ran too. I ran until I was off the side road and back onto a better lit road with sparse traffic. Looking behind me then, he was nowhere to be found. The rest of the way home, I kept glancing over my shoulder, always expecting to see his stupid smile. But he was never there. I lived in that city for 6 months after that night, and I never went out for another walk. There was something about his face that always haunted me. He didn't look drunk, and he didn't look high. He looked completely and utterly insane, and that's a very, very scary thing to see.